So when you're squirrel hunting with a suppressor, you want to shoot the ones on low branches so that they fall to the ground. You don't want to shoot the high ones first because then the ones on the low branch will see the one falling and know something's up.
I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Smith & Wesson, Range Ready, Ruger, and Vortex. Hey, welcome into Gun Talk Nation, this podcast. So this week we're doing a special event, LeverFest. And LeverFest is a media event, all celebrating lever action guns because they're hot right now. My guest is JJ Reich. Correct. All right. You know, I always want to make sure I'm saying people's names right. And then what's funny is when people go, I say, is that right? They're like, whatever. I'm like, no, there's a right way. There's a correct way. JJ, you work with Federal Ammunition. You came down, you sent us a variety of stuff to use for LeverFest, but we'll also talk about what's new with Federal in general, because you got some really new stuff, including a brand new cartridge that was released earlier this year.
Yes. So when you invite me on something like this, well, first of all, you didn't even have to finish your sentence, and I wanted to come down for LeverFest. Like this, that's awesome. So I really chose a lot of target and kind of plinking ammo to bring for down here, and that's great because you get a lot of coverage on your legacy type, product lines as have been for a long time, and that's what you need to shoot. You want to shoot some FMJ, and you want to pull the trigger a lot, so you want to get some target ammo, but the real beauty of these events are all the conversations you have at breakfast and lunch and dinner, and it always comes down to, what do you have new this year?
Sure. Sure.
So I knew we were going to get a ton of coverage on our ammo just in general, but the real beauty of an event like this is talking about the new stuff for the year.
And just reacting to what we've been doing the last day and a half or so with these guns. I mean, you've got the ones we have here, we've got 4570.
Yep.
We've got 44 mag. We've got 45 Colt, which those three, 4570, obviously big boomer. But I'm impressed with the 45 Colt and the 44 mag. That's a real versatile one. Depending on the ammo, you can say, I want this to be easy shooting, or I want it to be optimized for self-defense, or it could be, I want to shoot big animals with this.
Correct.
Depending on the load.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the beauty of anything, really. It's like people say, well, what cartridge are you shooting? And really doesn't really matter what cartridge you're shooting. What matters is what bullet you're shooting.
That's the secret.
So
that's the secret.
Really asking that question,
Asking the wrong question. Yeah.
Right.
And one of my friends, she used to say, the bullet delivers your intention to the target. So you can really tailor the load to what you're doing. And I think that's one of the cool things about lever guns and the cartridges, the calibers that were chambered in here, that you can really do that.
Right. And it also kind of boils down to, especially for hunting loads, it's the only thing that actually connects to the animal, right?
Right.
So why would you chintz on something like that?
Right.
So if you have, especially if you're going to Africa or it's kind of quote unquote hunt of a lifetime, it's the only thing that connects with the animal. So why wouldn't you get like the best possible projectile you can for that?
Well, I mean, when people wound an animal or have to track an animal, maybe it's a bad shot, but there are times when you were using the wrong bullet or the bullet didn't perform like you wanted.
Sure.
There's in a number of factors it could be, right? But if you use the right bullet, the right ammo, it can really make that difference where you can anchor that critter right where you shot it.
Right. And so that's immediately why I really wanted to come down here, because of HammerDown. HammerDown is our lever gun optimized cartridge. And really kind of putting me on the spot here, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, but might be longer. I've been there 15 years.
Okay.
So
a lot of different loads to remember.
Things are kind of blendy, But I would say it's relatively new, and it is optimized for lever guns. It is optimized for hunting with lever guns.
Okay.
And a lot of lever guns are pistol caliber carbines, the 44 mags, 45 Colt,
357
Magnum.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we took any of those cartridges that are popular in the lever gun platform, and we put bonded hunting bullets in them.
Oh, wow.
Heavy for caliber bonded hunting bullets.
So it holds together into animals. And maybe I'll be even more specific. When it hits hard stuff too, right? It holds together. If you could hit bone and stuff like that, it's going to keep going.
Yeah. So when the bullet hits the animal, you want it to keep its weight retention for as long as possible so that it penetrates deeper. But you also want to program that bullet so that it also opens and has a wide wound channel as well. So you want that bullet expansion, and you also want the bullet penetration. And so with bonding, you're basically taking the core, the lead core, and then the copper jacket, and you're fusing those together.
How do they fuse it?
Well, I mean, that's an engineering.
Is it a secret?
No.
It's super glue?
No, there's well, kind of. I mean, there's different ways to bond a bullet. You can do like an electrochemical heat process. You can do an all heat process with different things. So there's different ways to bond a bullet.
Okay.
So we have different ways to do it. So for example, our fusion bullets is more of electrochemical, and then our terminal scent is more of a heat chemical.
Interesting.
So yeah, there's different ways to do it.
One of the things that we've observed even before LeverFest, getting all the guns ready, because we had dozens of guns we had to shoot and get ready, but also during everyone shooting it, 357 mag out of a lever gun, that sucker hits hard.
I've killed several deer with that.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
And great for hunting. And you go, well, it's kind of just, it's a revolver round. You go, yes. However, out of a lever gun, you're getting more velocity. And frankly, it would probably be fantastic as a home defense rig too.
Definitely, for sure. So really when you think about optimizing cartridges like a 357 Magnum, you can take the bullet choice and you can optimize that for personal defense, and you can program that bullet to do what you want it to do on that. And you can test it in FBI protocol gel with all of the, denim tests and all that stuff. And that's great for that particular purpose. And then you could also take it and optimize it for rifles or for hunting. And then do what I just said with the bonded hunting bullets and the heavier grain weights. And then we actually package that in like a rifle looking box. So it's a 20 count round box.
Sure.
That's in a longer box. So it's for a rifle, but now it's still safe to shoot in a pistol.
Okay. That's good.
Because of all the SAMI specs. And,
sure.
So it's going to be hot. It's going to surprise you.
Hold on.
But you can do it. One story I knew I wanted to tell when I came down here was getting my son into hunting. So it's like, okay, finally I have Kelvin and he gets to go hunting. And so I take AR-15 and we're using bonded bullets, trophy bonded tip from Federal. The heaviest grain weight you can get is 62 grains. Okay. But, with that and it's bonded, that's going to work on a deer.
Yeah.
So I set all that up. And then I also take the 357 Magnum lever gun that I have, put a scope on that, grab the HammerDown, put that out there. And I put them on the range bench. And I'm like, all right, Calvin, you can hunt with the AR-15 or you can hunt with the 357 Magnum lever gun. Yeah. And everyone or your thoughts are the kid is going to pick the AR-15.
Yeah, it just looks cooler and all
exactly.
that. Yeah,
that kind of their video game type thing. And he's like, nope, I want the 357.
Really?
He goes, I just love the way it just feels. I love the way reloading. It's just it looks cool. It sounds cool. It's just I want to shoot that.
Yeah.
And because it's a 357 Magnum cartridge, there's like no recoil. Now there's not any recoil in the 223 either, really.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's what, 125 grain bullet, somewhere in that ballpark?
It's 170 grain bullet.
Oh, it's heavy. That's right. Heavy for caliber.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the 223 is 62 grains, and the 357 Magnum is 170.
It's like
so if we're doing
times.
the math, if you're doing the math, I think that's
almost 3 times.
108 maybe.
Or, 3 times as much almost. Well, I mean,
so I was happy about that because I'm like, okay, I want a heavier bullet hitting the animal.
Yeah. I will say, we've tested some stuff this week. Heavier bullets are impressive. When you get into some of that big stuff, the 300 and 400 grain bullets, boy.
Yes.
That's real impressive.
Yeah, I think that 44 mag is 270, I believe. So you can really get some heavy bullets, and when you have all that weight retention and all that mass hitting the deer, it's going down. So,
it's going down.
And so he shot his first deer with that. He absolutely loved it, and he wants to continue hunting with it.
One of the things that we kind of reacted to shooting these lever actions, you run the gun. The gun doesn't just run by itself. You make it happen. I think that's why people like it. I think it's an analog experience, a feeling, a kinetic type of thing. Also, there could be an argument for, well, you're running the gun, so there's perhaps you have more control, perhaps more reliability in certain ways.
Sure.
When you come to maybe a defensive use. So, the tactical lever guns are a hot thing right now.
Yes. So with the tactical guns being lever guns, people are wondering what to use for ammo there. I mean, if you're really not too worried about over penetration, I would just go with the hunting bullet. I would just go with the HammerDown. I mean, it'll do the job. Now everything is going to do the job. Like even if you did, an HST, that's a very popular round for law enforcement. That's a
defensive use. Yeah,
it's going to work on a rifle. You're going to have more velocity, of course, because you have a longer barrel. So it's going to open faster.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit more violent. You might lose a lot of weight. I mean, depending on what the bullet is, like you might even lose a pedal.
Well, and also, JJ, I mean, if it's going a little bit faster, it opens faster, it actually might not penetrate as far.
But you're going to have a wider, more violent.
Which may be actually what you might be looking for in some close quarter type stuff.
Sure. Yeah. No, you're right. And especially if you're worried about over penetration in that situation, going through walls and whatnot. But also, Hydra-Shok Deep. That bullet is fantastic. That bullet does not care what you're shooting it out of. It doesn't care if it's a short barrel. It doesn't care if it's a long barrel. That thing is going to penetrate deep. It's Hydra-Shok Deep. It's a modern version of Hydra-Shok. So Hydra-Shok came out in the 90s, late 90s, and that was a defense round. It's been around for decades, and really just most recently in the last 10 years or so, or 8 years, we redid that bullet. The engineers that designed the bullet in the 90s, they were about to retire in the late 2010s, and before they retired, they're like, you know what, we want to redo like everything we learned in the last 25 years.
That's cool.
We want to go back to that first design and we want to redo it.
Yeah, there's new technology. We have lessons learned and all that.
Exactly.
One of the other things that you have here that we tested yesterday, we got to talk about some of the new stuff. This is one of the really cool new things. After this break, how about 22s for self-defense? New from Vortex, it's the Viper Shotgun Enclosed Micro Red Dot. Purpose-built for the fast pace of turkey hunting and wing shooting, the Viper Shotgun Enclosed Micro Red Dot delivers an ultra-low profile design and wide field of view for intuitive shooting and superior recoil control. Its enclosed design and integrated universal mount ensures seamless operation and maximum protection against the elements. You can even use it on other things like a lever gun or a tactical shotgun. Check it out from Vortex, the Vortex Viper Shotgun Enclosed Micro Red Dot. Meet the Smith & Wesson CSX E-Series, because apparently Smith & Wesson took one look at their already great CSX pistol and said, yeah, we can do even better. The new E-Series trigger, crisp, clean, smoother than your grandpa's whiskey. And of course, it's optics ready with a clear sight cut so your fancy red dot won't get blasted with carbon like a neglected grill. With 9mm power, up to 17 rounds, and all the upgrades you never knew you needed, the CSX E-Series isn't just an evolution, it's proof that Smith & Wesson refuses to take a day off. Ever wanted to train at a top-tier shooting facility that used to be a slaughterhouse? Well, dreams do come true. Welcome to Range Ready Training, the home of Gun Talk Media, where we turned an abandoned meat processing plant into one of the best firearm training facilities in the country. Led by Chris Serino, Range Ready offers pistol, rifle, women's only, force on force, and instructor development courses. Whether you're a newbie, a pro, or that guy who thinks watching YouTube makes you an expert, we've got a class for you. So if you're serious about getting better, training smarter, and maybe experiencing a little Louisiana charm along the way, come check out Range Ready Training. Ruger and Magpul walked into a bar and somehow, instead of starting a fight, they built a handgun masterpiece, the Ruger RXM. This American-made pistol is everything you want: exceptional ergonomics, upgraded features, and a price tag that won't require selling a kidney. Bottom line, the RXM is built for you, your budget, and your obsession with tweaking your gun until it's just right. So go ahead and make it yours. Ruger and Magpul already did the hard part. So JJ, one of the rifles we have here is the new Savage Revel. Yes. And it's a 22 caliber, and they have it, I guess they have it coming in 17 HMR 22 mag, which is cool too.
Yep.
Super accurate, very smooth actions. Everybody's enjoying them. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize, but you sent us some new ammo that's 22 ammo.
Yes. So going back to the HammerDown, we brought the HammerDown. It's a brand new product for us in 2024, but we talked about it at SHOT Show in January. So yeah, so that again is a heavier plated lead core bullet, but it's optimized for the lever gun as far as being a heavier hunting bullet, and it also is more of like a match grade as far as it's got the nickel plated casing and all that. We used to have the product called Hunter Match, but now everything is going to HammerDown.
Okay. So
it's really kind of our 22 LR kind of match grade hunting round. And we also put it in 325 count boxes.
Oh,
like, why mess with 50 round counts when people are going to be shooting something like that?
Yeah. So it could be, and I kind of teased it with maybe a defensive thing. Great for hunting, right?
Yes.
But we were kind of saying, gosh, I mean, I think we were getting 11 and a half inches of penetration into gel with a 22.
Exactly.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's going to perform, and that extra velocity it's gonna soak up that extra velocity, and it's going to, it's going to love that extra velocity and even penetrate deeper. Then I also brought the 22 long rifle punch. And so that's the defensive.
Okay.
bullet.
Okay. That's the defensive one.
And it's really meant for semi-autos and revolvers for people who want to carry a 22 LR or have it for, everybody is different. There's no one right particular solution for self-defense. And so if people want to choose a 22 LR or a 22 WMR, then we're going to give them options for that. So
yeah, especially talking about the importance of bullets and ammo. If you're going to use that as maybe like my little backup gun or whatever, you better have some good ammo loaded into there.
Right. So that is a solid bullet. There's no hollow point or anything. It's a flat face bullet. It's a very hard lead core, and then it's nickel plated. The case is also nickel plated, and it's very reliable as far as priming and all that. And I think we shot through gel too with the rifle. Yeah. So it worked great, but it's also is meant to have deep penetration, but it's also meant for that penetration not to over penetrate.
Yeah.
Because over penetration in a self defense situation is never good. So.
It's not good. All right. So, but we got to talk about. I am a cartridge caliber nerd.
Okay.
I mean, I grew up reading Gun Digest and looking at all the ballistics charts and just looking at like, ooh, the 220 Swift with this bullet is going 3,900 feet per second. Just I nerd out on this stuff. And so I like it when there's new cartridges that we can talk about and examine. There's two we ought to talk about. I know you got stuff you want to talk about. The two I'm thinking of, the 7mm Backcountry.
Yes.
Talk about that. Tell me about it.
Well, I mean, you guys did a fantastic job covering the 7mm Backcountry, and
we had fun with it.
Yes, and your dad's video was probably one of my favorite videos out of all of them. It was
really
very short and sweet, and if you can get that guy to smile and just kind of be surprised on something and chuckle. I mean, he had a legitimate chuckle when he shot it for the first time. And
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I mean, we like the ballistics nerd stuff. We'd like talking about what this does. And I think this is for regular people who maybe aren't a ballistics nerd like I am. It needs a little bit of explanation to go like, okay, well, wait a minute. There's already 7 mag. There's these other things.
Yep.
Why does this cartridge exist? Why did you guys bring it out?
Yeah. So to start at ground zero, 7mm Backcountry is a new big game cartridge. It's designed for the suppressor in mind.
That's kind of one of the keys.
That is, it's definitely the main point. And then it's also designed. Well, really, it's designed for high pressure. So the 7mm Backcountry is very cool because it's great for suppressors. What helps make it great for suppressors is the pressure and the velocity that it can get.
So a lot of hunters they've decided, I like hunting with a suppressor. Mm-hmm. And then once you do that and you carry your regular gun, then you have it threaded and you put a 5 to 7 inch suppressor on it, you go, this is really long and unwieldy. So then everyone's going to shorter barrels, 22, 20. Some people are using 18-inch barrels.
Yes.
You lose velocity out of whatever cartridge you're shooting. I mean, you lose velocity. It doesn't matter. This is just physics. So you guys are optimizing this with higher pressures to get more velocity out of a shorter barrel. So you're not losing the performance. But how do you do that and keep it safe and Sammy spec?
Exactly.
There's a secret.
There's a secret, and it's all about the case technology at that point. Cases are brass. You can have nickel-plated brass and that kind of thing. But really what we have here with the 7mm Backcountry is the peak alloy case. Mm-hmm. So
it's not brass.
It's not brass.
Okay.
It's not steel.
Okay.
It's an alloy. Now there's steel in it, but there's also other stuff in it too. Mm-hmm. And what that does is it allows for the pressure, for the case, the peak alloy case, to take all the pressure. So that pressure isn't being distributed out to the receiver or the chamber. That case is taking it all, and so it's not throwing it back into the bolts. It's not, it's being able to take all the pressure and then deliver that pressure with the projectile down the barrel, and you are able to get really good velocity out of a short barrel.
Yeah,
because you're right. 7mm PRC is very popular. People want that velocity, but they're getting that velocity of a 24-inch barrel. You put a can on there, all of a sudden it's 30-inch unwieldy, branch kind of thing. So they want shorter barrels. We basically saw people saying, "Oh, I bought the 7mm PRC, but it's so long. I just chopped it down to 18-inch barrel." And it's like, well, you just lost all the velocity that you bought.
I mean, burning gunpowder's fun and all that, but geez.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's just a response to how people are hunting and what they're using for their gear. Certainly out west, I mean, the people who are moving and doing spot and stock and that type of thing. We took it on an elk hunt right at turn of the new year, and so we got the guns ready here at, I don't know, we're about 20 feet above sea level.
Okay.
And we drove 16 hours to New Mexico. We woke up in the morning.
I saw the podcast on that.
Yeah, we hiked up the hill
while you were driving.
Oh, dude, we hiked up the hill. We spotted some cow elk because we said, "How do you do?" By the way, guys, pro tip for you: great way to do a western hunt. Do a cow elk hunt. I mean, if you're not worried about the horns and all that stuff, and you're like, I want to get like 170 pounds of meat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm down with this.
I like jerky.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. Big fan of backstrap. And it's just a real accessible hunt, I think. It just kind of sidebar there. But I think we were at like 7,000 feet elevation.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, JJ. We're a little busy around here. Mm-hmm. I hadn't shot that gun yet.
Well, I also didn't send it to you till like 2 days before you left either.
It's new cartridge. And look, that's a chicken egg thing too, which we'll get into.
Right.
New cartridge, but who's chambering it in rifle companies and all this stuff. So, and you guys did great with that because there's a bunch of people that are actually chambering this load. But 400 yards on a cow elk, she goes down. KJ shoots she goes down. It was just incredible. And because you have the bullets you're using, there's not a lot of drop, but there's also not a lot of wind drift. They're just really suited for that type of hunting.
Yeah, it's a very flat shooting cartridge.
Yeah.
And then the bullet options, like you said, there's of course our terminal ascent, which is our best mounted bullet you can get. We had it at 170 grain and also 155 grain. We have a copper option in Barnes LRX. We are doing a really heavy one with Berger at 195 grain.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
Yes, it is. And then we have Fusion, and that Fusion is a 175 grain.
Okay.
Fusion tipped. And so that's, you definitely have your price point options and your different bullet type options too. So that's all great. But really, it's about the case technology. People are writing the story and they're like, the 7mm is cool cartridge, but the case technology is why this story is cool. Because,
it's innovation.
Well, and what can we do in the future for it?
Sure.
Like what other cartridges can we do for it?
We're gonna soup up the 35 Remington. I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's guys at the office figuring out what they're going to do.
A 30-30 that goes 6,000 feet per second.
So you're basically adding, you're for sure adding, at least for this, you're adding 150 feet per second.
Yeah. And that does add to performance.
Yes, it does.
Now you guys, I don't want to lose the ability to cover all the new stuff. I mean, you guys have a bunch of other new stuff. Is there anything in particular that you're excited about? Yeah.
So actually, if you go to federalpremium.com and then there is on the menu bar, you say, this is Federal. And then there's a big product section, hit that. And we every year we list just the new products so people can scroll through that.
Can I ask you? I feel like there is this little movement with 32s right now.
Yes, there is.
And I noticed you guys had a new offering there.
Yes.
I'll just tell you, we're going to do some content that's covering a bunch of different guns and ammo in 32. I just think it's interesting. Talk about this one.
Yeah. So cartridges in popularity, they just kind of ebb and flow. They have ups and downs, and right now 32 is hot for some reason. And so it's great because we have 327 Federal Magnum.
Yes.
That is, something that is our proprietary cartridge that we did in the late 2000s. That is really a badass cartridge. It is. That's absolutely fantastic.
I mean, people who know, the gun guys that I know, when you get into talking about defensive revolvers and things like that, they're like, oh, dude, 327 Federal is the magic sauce. And
one of the things, we worked with H&R when they did their 32 H&R. When was that? In the 80s or something?
Oh, yeah.
But we definitely worked with them on that. And then we took that 32 H&R and we created the 327 Federal off of that. And so it really is a cartridge that acts like a 357 Magnum.
Yeah.
But it's a smaller bullet. And
you can usually get an extra round in the gun, right?
Yes. Yep. Compared to a revolver on 357 Magnum, you definitely get an extra round with that. And then you can also shoot the different 32s out of that too. So you can chamber the 32 H&R on that. And
some light stuff too.
Yes. So it's very versatile and it's great. And I think it's just when the gun manufacturers get excited and start chambering new guns in these old cartridges, that's when the ammo companies need to step up and, either create new products. This one is basically our Hydra-Shok Deep. I touched on that earlier in the podcast. It's an absolutely fantastic bullet that we reinvented from old technology of the 90s. That bullet is fantastic. It doesn't care what gun is shooting or
awesome.
It doesn't care what. Well, actually, we program each bullet to be for each cartridge. So we're not just taking
okay.
one bullet and putting it in a different.
Interesting.
We actually say, okay, well, this is for 32.
So we know it's going to be going this fast.
Yes.
We kind of need it to do these things.
Right,
You
exactly.
can adjust how you manufacture the bullet.
Exactly.
Wow.
So we basically said, okay, well, if you have a new 32 H&R mag gun, well, then here's modern, new 32 H&R ammo for it.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. And I mean, we covered it last year. And one of the new ones that was the ultimate carry, the UC, the Smith & Wesson new J-frame that they launched in conjunction with Lipsy's. And one of the options is getting it in 32. And you get 6 shots instead of 5 in a J-frame revolver.
Cool.
It's super fun. And I've got one. I'll shoot it with little light loads just for funsies. But the hot stuff is still totally fine to shoot. But it performs at distance on targets. It performs into gel. We've seen it into different mediums. It's really impressive stuff. JJ, is there anything else as we're kind of like getting ready to wrap up here? God, I don't want to. There's so much new stuff from Federal.
The best thing to do is, again, go to federalpremium.com. Right there on the menu bar on top, it says "This is Federal." It kind of is that. Whole section is kind of who we are and gives you all kinds of cool things to look at. But new products is there, and then you can just walk through all the new products.
A lot of new shotgun stuff too.
Yeah, so we did.
Which I always enjoy the shotgun stuff. It's fun.
Yes.
I mean, because shotguns so versatile, right? I mean, shotguns for waterfowl, upland, target shooting, defensive stuff. I mean, there's just so many things you can do with a shotgun.
Yes. So we have a new sporting clays load. It's called Masterclass. That's absolutely great to check out. We have a lot of new, one of my favorites is going to be the Upland paper. So it's paper hulls. So it's that nostalgia.
That's great.
Which is the paper hulls is what built the company in 1922. And they actually didn't become plastic hulls until the 50s.
Really?
So it's all paper since then and into the 60s. And then we've always kept our paper hulls in our target loads. But for folks who are shooting that high-end over-under or double barrel on a pheasant hunt, and they want that nostalgia and they want that paper hull, it has a smell to it.
It has I was going to talk about the smell. Everybody knows it. You're like, paper hulls.
So we got a lot of requests for that, and so
it's like Mama's cinnamon bread or something. It's just like, man, this just makes me warm and fuzzy.
Yep. So look for that. It's Upland paper, so that's
cool.
It's not target load. It's for pheasants.
What's it? Is it available in variety of loads? I know we got a cheat sheet here.
Yeah, we got.
You guys watching, because there's so many different loads that they're doing.
Yeah, we're doing 6 2 3/4 inch, 12 gauge, or 20 gauge, and we're doing 4, 5, or 6 shot.
Nice.
So typically it's always been 7.5 or 8 for targets, but now we're doing the larger shot size for upland game.
Very cool.
And then the Barnes LRX, we mentioned that in 7mm backcountry, but we're loading that copper bullet into several other cartridges.
People listen to this, they know I'm a fan of solid copper bullets, monolithic bullets. They're kind of like talk about don't care. They don't care. You shoot them into stuff, it just does its job.
Right. And Barnes said, hey, we're doing a new one. We're doing LRX now. So I'm like, okay, well, so Federal said, okay, we're going to load that now.
Yeah.
So we have that. Terminal Ascent, of course. We're doing a couple new rounds in that. 6.5 PRC, 300 rum.
Ooh.
In Terminal Ascent would be.
If you're real mad, real mad at the critter. That's the one.
Yes. For the target side, we are finally doing the 6mm arc. So we have got that.
Okay. That's a hot one these days. 6mm arc. The long range guys are loving it. They're loving that for precision rifle stuff, NRL hunter stuff. But here's the thing, guys. It's great for hunting.
Yes. Now we don't have a hunting round yet.
But
But you know, the target guys for sure have now an option.
That's
in
cool.
Our gold medal line.
That's cool.
HST, we're doing the 44 Rem Mag and HST. So we're putting a lot of effort into personal defense ammunition for the revolver, which personally, and maybe you'll be mad at me for saying this live on air, but maybe next year you do a revolver fest.
Maybe we should.
I think revolver fest would be cool.
Look, you guys, last year we did 5.7 Fest because 5.7 was kind of it's been around, but it had a little resurgence and people were excited. Now we're doing LeverFest. That's been popular. What's the next thing we should do if you're listening to this?
Well, I have ideas.
Let me tell y'all, JJ always has ideas. He's that guy that's like, hey, I got a suggestion for you. I got some ideas. But that's what we do with these things, right?
Sure,
we brainstorm. There's somebody that's close to me says, sometimes we just need to drink about it.
Sure.
We come up with some concepts, you know. Drink Wisconsinably.
Drink Wisconsinably.
Yeah,
yes,
he's from Wisconsin. Yeah.
But my best ideas come when I'm not drinking, and my wife has told me that. But anyway, I would say Revolver Fest. I also like Suppress Fest. I think I think that when people come up to me and ask me, "Hey, thinking about buying a new gun. What new gun should I buy?" and my answer over the last 1 or 2 years has been, your next gun should be a suppressor. And if you have, because it is an FFL item, so it is a gun. So your next gun should be a suppressor. If you already have a suppressor, your next gun should be another suppressor.
Yeah. Most likely, if you're a gun goofball like we are, you're listening to this thing, you probably have plenty of guns. And I mean, look, I'll give you permission. You're allowed to buy more guns.
That's
okay?
going to give you some comments there.
Yeah.
You can never have too many guns.
You can never have too many. Just one more is the right number. But you probably don't have enough suppressors. And look, you get the one, you're like, oh, yeah, I'll get the one, and I can switch it around. Where you end up is where we end up is... No, like I want one for every gun. Mm-hmm. Like it's not like I'm moving it around. I just like have lots of suppressors.
You have to. I mean, you have to have a rimfire. You have to have a 30 cal. You have to have, especially with with some of the bigger cartridges that are doing really well, like the 357 Magnum and the 44. You need a 46 can.
Mm-hmm.
So you need different ones, and then you also if you have multiple guns and you don't want to keep switching them around, you want multiple suppressors.
You could get K cans that are really short.
Sure.
So if you don't want to add length to the gun, you could do that. A little short, fatty guy.
Yep.
There's all. I mean, it's another world that you can go down. And here's the thing: it's never been easier. Mm-hmm. It used to be. Oh, it's going to be a wait time. This has never been easier. We're talking weeks, sometimes days.
Yes.
These days to get a suppressor, and you can go through one of these guys like a Silencer Shop or Silencer Central. They make it super easy.
Yep.
And I don't know. I think that the prices are actually going to come down on suppressors. I think that they're going to actually come down. But I'm not saying wait.
Yeah. No.
But go ahead and get some
for sure. And I also think that when you look at trends and you look what ammo companies are doing. We came out with the 7mm Backcountry because people are hunting with suppressors. Hint, hint. Our affiliate company CCI just came out with a new suppressor max with a segmenting hollow point.
Yeah.
Or go out and do some squirrel hunting with a suppressor and some segmented hollow points.
I'd like to see what that does.
You have a blast.
Oh my! Blast. Literally a blast.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Subsonic ammo is popular.
That's what I was going to get into. JJ is like, you want to have fun. Yes, one way to have fun with guns is this is a big boomer. Boom! Wow! But it's also fun to shoot something like we're shooting 4570 that's subsonic ammo suppressed. And it's a big bullet, but it's like, psh, what just happened?
Exactly.
That was it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, my son wants to hunt suppressed. I shot one of my first animals with a suppressor a couple of years ago, and I never want to go back. I want to.
Well, there's an advantage there too. Not only that you're helping your hearing, because let's be honest, most people aren't wearing hearing protection when they're hunting.
What's that?
What? Sorry, speak up. But they're not wearing hearing protection. Also, it reduces the recoil, so you're able to stay kind of in the gun, looking through the scope. You can see what happened. And it gives you some wiggle room.
Well, a lot of people flinch because of the noise.
Right.
The noise hurts, and especially if you have hearing damage, it hurts even more
blasty.
And more. So I think people, as far as recoil goes, I think people actually flinch not because of the of the hit to the shoulder, the push of the shoulder. That's not.
It's actually. It doesn't hurt.
It's really
There's
the
not
hurt
pain.
of your ears. I
Yeah.
mean, I think people they don't want that.
That
So,
concussion, that concussive feeling. Yeah, and then the other part is just. I mean, I've seen it in person where you shoot and maybe you need a second follow-up shot and the animal doesn't run away. Or if you're hunting something like hogs or coyotes,
squirrels.
they stick around.
The squirrels stick around. Believe
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
So you-
sure.
yes.
22 is very quiet.
So when you're squirrel hunting with a suppressor, you want to shoot the ones on low branches so that they fall to the ground. You don't want to shoot the high ones first because then the ones in the low branch will see the one falling and know something's up.
You know, that's. Have you ever heard about Audie Murphy, the World War II guy?
No.
He was one of the most decorated veterans of World War II. He was a country dude. And one of his stories is he learned this from, I think he was turkey hunting.
Okay.
And this is old school turkey hunting. Okay. You shoot the rear ones first
Okay.
because they fall and the ones in front don't realize it's happening. He did that to Germans in World War II.
Sure.
Turkey shoot. Yes.
Could you imagine if he had a suppressor?
Yeah. They don't even know what's happening.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah.
Squirrels with suppressors. I love it.
Plus, I think that Suppress Fest sounds good, sounds cool, and would look cool on a T-shirt.
Sounds
I know
quiet.
you guys are into the T-shirt, so
Yeah.
Suppress Fest should maybe happen next year or the year
All right.
after.
All right. We're going to put that in the bucket. I think that's definitely a contender. Suppressed Fest. Yeah. All right, guys. JJ, thanks for being with us. Anything else we ought to...
No, I think
Tell 'em.
I talked your ear off again. I could talk for days on this stuff. So I'm like a happy little pig in mud. I love this kind of stuff, and I really it's really fun to hang out with you. You know, so
I'm glad you're
thank
here,
you.
man.
Yeah.
This is fun. He is the ammo daddy, JJ Reich, Federal. Thanks for being with us. That's it for us. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.